Cybernation uncensored.
Oh, I see. The settings changed without telling me. Yeah, you should hear me now. Let me get Wisdom on the line. Yeah, you should hear me now. You're going to be available now.
Yay!
Yeah.
Are you hearing us both, Narcy? No reply yet.
He did say nice. I told him to give me a minute. I see things going in the green, so hopefully you can hear me. Anyone else? Can
Anybody else in? I can hear
hear
it though.
me? Can you hear me now?
Hey, Narsty, how you doing? Can you hear me?
We need you both. Great. Yeah, sorry. I think there was
Excellent.
just I was doing some things in OBS, and for some reason it doesn't like keep or saving my changes or keeping the default changes for my mic and the audio from Wisdom. So let's get started again. Sup, gatos? This is Cybersmily with another installment of Tales from the Forlorn Dopes with my co-host.
That's me, Wisdom. Greetings, programs. It's good to see you again this week. We got some good stuff coming.
Yep. So we're just gonna start the episode with like what's happening in Cyberpunk news, specifically the genre as well as game-related stuff. So before I determined that there was a microphone issue, we were actually talking a little bit about Ghost in the Shell and the new season that dropped last week. And I have mixed reviews on the new season. However, I'm not going to spoil anything because Wisdom has yet to see it.
Yeah, I've been having problems with Netflix, but I've been liking what I'm hearing and seeing. It looks like the action is really ramped up this season. It looks like Prin is less annoying than she was in the first season, which, I mean, that's not a high bar to reach. She's the worst Mary Sue in history. But everything I've seen from people, everything I've heard, tells me that it's good stuff. I've heard nothing but good things.
Yep. And like I said, I kind of have mixed reviews on this. Mainly because of the last two episodes. I loved the season up until that. It's just, I'm still a little confused. But I'm not going to get into spoilers on it. But like I was telling before the mics came on, Prin is less than a Mary Sue this season, I feel.
Well, that's good stuff. Next episode, I will definitely have seen the whole season, and we'll talk more in depth about it then.
Yeah. Also coming up this month, next week, Edgerunners should be dropping on Netflix, and that's the Cyberpunk 2077 anime. Which
Very, very excited about that. Although all we've gotten so far is a teaser, and the animation. I'm not going to say it looks bad, but from just in the teaser animation, it looks underwhelming. I'll say that. The character designs are cool, but it almost looks like Flash animation in the teaser, and hopefully that's just me misreading it.
well, and the photos I've seen, it's very Flash animation, but depending upon how well they do it, it can go well, you know. Although it looks like Cyberpunk 2077 is still yellow.
Yeah, lots of yellow. I don't understand where yellow became the core color for that. Personal pet peeve, but yeah, I mean, Archer started out as Flash animation, and it's one of my favorite shows of all time. So.
Yeah. I'm wondering if it's yellow because Mike has already done black, green, and red.
Red.
And
It's possible. It's possible.
CDPR decided, okay, we'll make Cyberpunk yellow.
I mean, I would have chosen blue, but that's me. I guess, you know.
Yeah. And I think Westworld is coming out this month as well.
Yeah, that show just keeps getting better and better.
So the clips I've seen of the new season looks pretty good. I don't know what they're gonna do because the world is already ending. I like to see what their dystopian future is gonna be all about.
Nothing but robots.
Yeah.
It's gonna be nothing but robots.
Nothing but AIs. Which I think,
Yeah, because at that point they won't even need bodies.
and 2077 kind of hints at that takeover. Yeah, so the next episode is dropping June 26th. So we have two things to look forward to this month when it comes to Cyberpunk. And again, there's a bunch of other movies coming out. I talked about, I think, either the last episode or the previous episode. So there's good stuff coming out for us to dig our teeth in and chew on, as it were. Other things, Cyberpunk. So our Talsorian dropped a new DLC, which looks like it gives a lot of love to the Netrunners, which I'm always happy.
Yeah, it definitely does that. It looks like it might actually be a preview of what they're doing with the new Chromebook that is on the way. It's a more detailed look at gear than anything we saw in Red.
Right. Although the pricing around these decks, I don't know. There's a lot of decks that are just 500, and they all have their benefits and drawbacks, but
I mean, the nature of the Red game is that it's all pretty generic. So
yeah.
But any gear catalog you give me is a good gear catalog, and that's the way I look at it.
Yep.
So hopefully this is a return to form for our Talsorian, the Cyberpunk line.
Yeah, the only major pain I see with this DLC is the hardware perfume shop. So if you install, so this is what it does, right? So if you install Perfume Shop, it reduces the skunk program from 2 slots down to 1, but it takes up 2 slots. So you're saving 1 slot by gaining another slot. So I don't know exactly what benefits that particular hardware has, because I have yet to see any. Most of the other stuff is pretty interesting, very useful, but that one piece of hardware is just got underneath my my fingernails and just can't get it out of there. You know?
Yeah, I don't play enough Red for it to really have that impact for me. For me, it's just more gear, and
Yeah.
I like that direction, so I don't have any real complaints.
Right. So I didn't know if you wanted to get into talking about the comics that Dark Horse has been putting out, because I've read them all. If we want to like spend some time giving a bit of your review and your opinion on them versus mine.
I mean, I like them all. It's a dream come true again, seeing comics, anime, video games coming out about this game we love, like direct franchise editions this way. And I mean, for the most part, I haven't always agreed with the art choices, but it's always seemed to work with the story being told. So I don't have any real complaints. It's good stuff. It's more based on the video game than anything else, although Where's Johnny definitely takes place just after the attack on Arasaka, the nuke, and all that. So it's more of a 2020 inspired thing, which I really like seeing. I mean, let's see, so far there's been Big City Dreams. That was, or Trauma Team was the first one.
Yeah, I actually really like that one.
I really like Trauma Team as well. Trauma Team was the first one. Then I think there were the web comics. That's I think that's the Where's Johnny stuff.
Yeah.
Then there was Big City Dreams, which Trauma Team and Where's Johnny were both done by Dark Horse, whereas Big City Dreams was that one of the Polish ones?
I think so.
I'm rifling through it now. Yeah, that was put out by CD Projekt Red itself, along with. And really, I loved Big City Dreams. I loved the idea of it. I loved, the rural. It starts off with some rural individuals who make their way to the city. It felt.
I thought
felt like a very.
That was the one with the brain dance, right? Where the guy fell in love with the the simple life, as it were.
Yeah, while everybody around him wants to move to the big city and just be all, big city.
Yes, his psychotic partner.
I really dug You Have My Word. Of all the books that they put out, it's got my favorite art style. Jesus Hervas is the artist on it, and he just, I don't know if I'm probably pronouncing that completely wrong. It's probably Herva. But I really dug the art style on that one.
Yeah.
It's go ahead.
Yeah, that I love. I think that was probably my favorite series so far. Just because it got into it took a left turn pretty quick.
Yeah.
Which I always like in things.
Your Voice is another one put out by CD Projekt Red, and it was more of a graphic novel type thing. That's probably my least favorite of the bunch, just because it takes so long to actually get to where it's going.
That it was all done for a brain dance?
Yeah. I don't know. The art style didn't catch me. I like when it comes to Cyberpunk, I tend to prefer a really detailed style of art.
Ooh.
Especially in the mechanics of what's going on. Like any bit of gear or tech, I want to see that detailed. That's just me though. And the story, like I said, it takes a bit to get going, and it wasn't as fast paced as the others. Not that slow is bad. I don't know. There was an economy of ideas there that I don't think I think they were maybe spaced a bit too far apart.
Yeah. Nartsty, given Riot's game has seen success with Arcane, do you imagine that we might see a Cyberpunk series within the Pondsmith Night City canon? So you're talking about an anime? If you're talking about an anime, that's what Edgerunners, Cyberpunk 2077 Edgerunners on Netflix is going to be. So
Arcane is fantastic. I would love. I can't tell you how much I would love to see Arcane is more steampunk than anything else. It's based off League of Legends. I've never played League of Legends, but based on that anime, it seems pretty flippin' awesome. Uh, it's actually one of the best animes I've seen in like a decade. Uh, but do I think Cyberpunk 2020 itself, the actual game, or even Cyberpunk Red will get that? Probably not. Um, I would love to see it happen, but I don't think any tabletop game other than Dungeons and Dragons or Warhammer or one of the great big ones that just seems to have ridiculous amounts of funding behind it. I don't think anything besides those is really going to get its own anime. But then again, I didn't think Cyberpunk 2020, a game which had been fairly dead for over a decade, would get a AAA title video game, even if it took another almost decade to come out. Like that came out of nowhere for me. So who knows what the future holds?
Yeah, I mean, I think CDPR pushing Cyberpunk, you're going to see that branch into various medias because you have that that $1 billion corporation pushing and trying to make as much money off the property as possible. Whereas, Artal Sorian, they are a very small shop
Yeah.
with not as much influence, I think. Well, who knows, right? Now that it could be.
I mean, ultimately, what I would like to see is we're getting a DLC next year, and I guess they've stated that it's the only DLC we're getting,
the expansion.
like major expansion.
Yep.
But I'd like to see I hate prequels in general, but I would like to see a Cyberpunk video game sequel prequel that is closer to the 2020 timeline. I would like to be able to play in that. That's my personal dream. I doubt it'll happen, but
yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen, buddy.
Yeah, no, I don't, but I can dream. I dreamed of a Cyberpunk video game, and that came true.
True. I just see that Dark Horse actually released a new Cyberpunk book, Blackout.
I haven't been able to. I haven't been able to pick that up yet, but I'm very excited. Anytime a new part of a new comic drops, I'm gonna be excited because the more we get, the better. The more we get, the more hype the tabletop game gets, the video game gets, and I want more of both.
Yep.
Hey, I'm very much praying that CD Projekt Red continues with the Cyberpunk franchise, even if 2077 doesn't get much more love in the way of expansions in favor of the Unreal Engine that they're going to be using. I'm hoping that they continue with the Cyberpunk franchise.
Yes. So on YouTube, the latest earnings call was hosted live. That you can actually go to, I think, CDPR's site, and you can actually listen to the earnings call on YouTube. Yeah, I actually caught a little bit of it when I was live, but not all of it. But yeah, the expansion, because I think they're already deep into the woods and deep into the weeds developing that, so they're not pulling it back, and also the leak of the all the dialogue that was dropped for that new expansion was basically hidden within their latest patch release. So a lot of modders found it, and basically it got leaked out. Yeah. So there's reams and reams of dialogue, which, from what I've heard, and again, this is all rumor, and do not believe any rumors when it comes to Cyberpunk 2077, even if they come from CDPR. But basically, it was it's happens in the late game. Prior to finishing the game, you get in contact with a netrunner called Songbird, and I guess she has or opens up a new ending, a possible ending. But
oh well, that's interesting.
yeah, I haven't really read any of the documentation because it's, to me, the problem with Cyberpunk 2077 and the rumor mill is just there's so much of it, and you know these people who love the clickbait, they hear one sentence or one blurb from somebody and it just becomes this, oh, this is fact, and it's like, guess what, 2 months later, oh well, it's not fact.
Yeah, it's that's kind of a plague on YouTube right now, is that kind of information.
But definitely watch the earnings call because it shows how much growth the game got this year from doing all the major patches, right? And their second release, right? When it came to PS4 and the other consoles.
Oh, that's good. I mean, hopefully they do well enough that they continue the franchise. Yeah.
Yeah, and when they when they dropped that patch, there was a lot of people who were like, "Wait a minute, I thought this game was supposed to suck," and people really like it.
Well, yeah, because it's a fantastic freaking game. Did it deliver on everything it promised? No, but it's still a better game than 90% of the crap I've played in the last several years.
Yeah. But yeah, during the earnings call, they talked about they're doing one more expansion, and then they're going to be switching over to the Unreal Engine. So,
I mean, they've stated publicly recently, like 2 weeks ago, that they consider themselves a 2-franchise company with The Witcher and Cyberpunk. So, yeah, hopefully that is a sign of things to come.
well, they've also been hinting that they're looking into a new franchise, but we'll see. Are they turning into a bigger game house, right, in which they'll start maintaining multiple franchises? I hope so. I'd really like to see that. That way we continue to get Cyberpunk 2077. Number 2, whatever it is.
Overhype issue aside, they've never put out a bad game.
Yep. All right, so any other news that you've heard of?
Comic scene, there's an independent comic. I think it's mostly only available via the web, but it's called Night Hunters, and it's pretty interesting comic. It is very much like, it feels like they played Cyberpunk and then made a comic based off of it. I don't want to give away the plot too much, but it's like police have become this weird mix of cop and bounty hunter, and they'll go into the slums and stage these raids to get these criminals, and the slums are just way out of control. Like it's true combat zone stuff, and yeah, for a fledgling effort, because I've never heard of anybody associated with this book before. It looks self-published.
What's it called
You
again?
should. It's called The Night Hunters, and I recommend it. People should check it out. Give them some love. Give them some money. You should be able to just do a Google search on The Night Hunters. I remember they're publishing, like they had a Kickstarter to get it published, if I recall correctly. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think I am. They also just put out a trade collection of a book called Crowded, which it has a really great premise. Of the premise is that it's like it's a social media thing where you can like nominate someone to be killed publicly, and if enough people donate into that or give enough likes, it raises the bounty on them. So it follows this girl who's been targeted, and she hires a bodyguard, and it follows them as they try to escape. Now it's they're both women, and they develop a relationship. It's a good comic, and it's deserving of some love as well. Who put that? Who put that? I want to say that was. Was it Image? I want to say it was either Image or Dark Horse. I'll tell you in just 1 second here. Flipping through some stuff. Yeah, Image. I was right. It's by Christopher Sabella and Rostein and Ted Brandt on art duties, and it's just really good. You should check it out.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I just found Night Hunters. Definitely has a unique art to it. It's kind of reminds me of. If you remember that comic book, this is dating me. There used to be a car comic book called Cartoons, which kind of like had.
No, I'm not familiar with that one.
This was back 70s, 80s. But basically, it was like, I'm trying to think of that other artist.
It's the old Roth stuff?
Yeah, the Hot Rod, like crazy art. That's what this kind of reminds me a little bit of. And its aesthetic.
Yeah, it's a really raw style. I'm not going to say it couldn't use a little bit of polish. But for a self-published book, it comes across really well, and while the art is raw, it's never too ugly to read. Like, I like the art. I hope that artist continues with his work.
Yeah, it looks like he made his goal on his Kickstarter, which is good. That's always the first step. Actually, Amazon has it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll check that out. And you also said Crowded? I'll also take a look at that Crowded. As well.
From Image.
Yeah, cool. Other types of cyberpunk news. So this past weekend, I did some bug fixes on my site, as well as introduced 2 new things. One is a searchable gear list for Cyberpunk 2020. I think I got all the gear. I don't, but I have a feeling I didn't. Because when it came to like services and stuff, I was like, I don't know if I want to add that to the list. But it's out there. You can now quickly search and find gear, hopefully a little easier. Also, I added the ability to add in a character portrait into the Cyberpunk 2020 character generator. So now you
Oh, that's
can,
an awesome addition.
yeah. So now you can add in a picture for your character. And the other thing I did was over on Reddit, I posted a poll to kind of give me some guidance on what people are looking for when it comes to my site, and it looks like people want me to do a Cyberpunk Red character generator.
Yeah, I got outvoted on that one.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of interest in that, but it's great. Yeah, and I think with this poll, I'm not going to just only do Cyberpunk Red and Red stuff. There is still a lot of interest in some of the other stuff. Apparently, all my maps are not something that a lot of people love. There's a few people who love it, but not as many as I would think. But
Well, I mean, you only gave people one option, pal. So
there's Reddit doesn't give you multiple votes. I think Facebook might, but then again, I'm not on Facebook. Screw Zuckerberg. But yeah, so this kind of gives me an idea on what priorities to look at. I have ideas for all of those subjects. So now I know which ones to focus in on first, and then second, and then third. So it gives me kind of a priority of what to do with my site. So I actually started, I kind of started in on character red generator a while back. So I have a little bit of the code already kind of created. Now it's just getting it more refined and getting it implemented to host on my site. One reason why I really didn't go down that path was because of the companion app that you can get installed on your phone. But I think some people just might not want an app on their phone, so I will give you my version of the generator.
There's a lot of apps, and they seem to be taking up more and more room these days. I'm constantly fighting for space on my phone, and my phone's not that old.
Yeah, we'll see how my dice works. But yeah. But yeah, I'm going to try to mimic a lot of the stuff I've implemented on the 2020 generator. So like IP tracking, finance tracking, expenses, and stuff like that. But it's going to take a little while, right, to get all that implemented. So
all good things do.
Yep. So I'm going to at least get kind of a preliminary sheet out that you can just record in and start tracking your stuff. But then I'm just going to slowly, iteratively add in more functionality to that generator as time passes. So you got that to look forward to. So yeah.
I mean, you always put out quality work, so whatever you put out, it's going to work.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about it, I think, until now we can get into some of the topics of the night. And I think we were thinking about talking about, our top...
Talking about our favorite gear.
Yeah. Of Cyberpunk 2020 or Cyberpunk Red. Mostly it's going to be Cyberpunk 2020 because we're a bunch of grognards. But you can always import some of the stuff into Red, so always take that into consideration. So what do you want to get first? You want to talk about weapons, cyberware, vehicles, gear?
I mean, I got favorites for all, so it's really kind of a crapshoot. We need your dice roller to roll a 1d4 here. Let's go with the easy one. Let's go with guns.
Yeah.
That's everybody's favorite cyberpunk topic.
Yeah, and that's
So
usually...
what do you like?
What do I like? My first go-to weapon that a lot of my characters will specifically get is usually pistol grenades.
Really?
Yes. They are so versatile and concealable.
Yeah,
And there's a couple that are pretty lethal.
indeed. They are. You're right. There's some quick devastation in a pinch, and you can carry a couple of them in your pocket.
People say that the rules are broken on some of them, especially the heap version, which ignores armor. Half is...
Well, I mean, it's an explosive, so...
Yeah. Half is concussion, and half is real. Which is nice because, hey, you might not want to kill the person. And for 5d6, and armor also gets reduced by 2 SP points. It's a nice little thing to pop off before you start unloading with your pistol.
For GMs, it's a nice way to capture PCs without killing them. You'll still do them damage, and some of that damage can be quite severe. But overall, it's a good way to bring them down with less chance of killing them.
Yeah. I mean, you have the concussion one, which does 3d6 with a 4-meter radius, but armor still protects, but it's only a third protection, but 3d6, and it's depending upon my group. I know usually their SP ranges from 16 to 20 when it comes to outfitting. So it's kind of hard to get them to be stunned versus the heat grenade.
Yeah. 16 to 20 seems about right for, veteran cyberpunk characters. That tracks. And this will still be effective against them. So...
Yeah. So what's your top weapon?
My number one, my favorite Cyberpunk 2020 weapon is the gong. Or not the gong, well, shit. Now I've forgotten what they actually call it in Cyberpunk. Damn it. You caught me. You caught me slipping, as it were.
Is it a pistol?
The Crusher, the Militech Crusher shotgun.
Right.
I call it the gong because the art is absolutely blatantly 100% like just traced from the Poseidon Norinco shotgun called the Gong from Appleseed. Like it's just 100% that. But that's second to Deckard's PKD from Blade Runner. It's my favorite science fiction handgun in existence. I just love the look of it. It's a magazine-fed, pistol-sized shotgun. And it just looks cool. Like, if that were pointed at me, I would wet myself. And as your NPC should. Or your PCs, really. Because you don't want that pointed at you.
Right. Yeah, my next weapon would be the Volt pistol. Just because it has that sci-fi tech next level type of thing versus just regular slug throwers that I liked. And again, it's one of those guns that people say break the rules, but if you have grounded armor, it's pretty much not going to be that effective of a weapon. So
No. I like, for my number 2, I'm going to go with the sliver gun. It's, against a hard armored target, it's utterly useless. But it looks like the old laser tag blaster, and it shoots little slivers of metal that get broken off from a rotating flywheel. So it's just all these little darts coming at you that just, if you're wearing light armor, it eats that shit like it's lunch.
yep. My neck weapon of choice would be the chain ripper, because who cannot say a portable handheld chainsaw is not freaking cool?
I mean, absolutely. It's very, very cool.
Plus, it rips armor to shreds.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got a little electric handheld chainsaw, just knife sized, it's hard to beat that. My third choice is it's fairly normal. It's just a very heavy handgun. I really like the Royal Enfield Ordnance Spitfire. I just do. I like the way it looks. I like the description of it.
That's the one that has a 3-round burst, right?
Yeah, it's the standard sidearm of the British Army, and as such, it gets used by the EDF and all that as well. I just really like it. I don't know why. It kind of sings to me. The Armalite 44, it's great. The Colt AMT, they're great, but this is like the superior version of those.
Yeah, the most mundane weapon I kind of always either NPCs are lugging around, or if my character doesn't have too much money, when it comes to SMGs, I always go for the Minami. The
Minamis?
Yeah,
those are good stuff.
that has always been a fun little SMG that I love. And most of my characters will either have, or my NPCs will be lugging around. Unless they're Militech, then, Militech will get their little weapon of choice.
I like the Gonks Taurus. That's a good little 9mm.
Yep.
But for thugs, for just schmucks on the street who just feel like they have to carry around a gun as part of a fashion sense, I love giving them the really shitty, like, budget auto things like the Sci-Fi Starrier or the Budget Arms Laser Niner. I love giving NPCs just utterly cheap garbage to, just be schmucks. Untrained people using a gun that blows up in their hands half the time, that's hilarious to me. That's hilarious to me.
Yeah, the other weapon of choice for me is the Heckler & Koch MPK2020. Just because it has a big-ass, out of the standard magazine is triple or double the rate of fire.
It's got a lot of ammo.
So, to me,
go ahead.
To me, I have been in, especially when it comes to like NPCs, how quick you can go through your clip of ammo and then have to spending an action unloading, action loading, and then you're at a -6 trying to fire again. Or trying to find cover so you can reload and take a turn to do so.
Yeah. Speaking of large capacity weapons, I'm a big fan of the Chadron Arms Jungle Reaper from from Interface 3. Basically, it's the gun from Aliens. It's the pulse rifle, including the underbarrel shotgun.
25 millimeter grenades.
Yeah, I mean, damn if that's just not freaking cool. I mean, there's a reason we love Aliens, and that gun is a big part of it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, literally, it looks exactly like the Aliens gun.
Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty. That's one of the beauties of the old Cyberpunk books is they took those homages like the gong or the pulse rifle, and they just ran with them. Like, we're gonna include these. This is what we want to see in our game. These things influence us, so we'll influence them right back.
Yeah, and the one thing that I find funny, because I'm looking at Blackhand's book, and the center pages have illustrations of quite a few of the guns, but they put in a little caveat that says illustrations not to scale.
I think that's so you don't think they're to scale with each other, but
Well,
yeah, it almost feels like coffee may be hot kind of sign.
Yeah, but still, I mean, you look at, was it on page 26? You look at the Nova Model 757 and the Rheinmetall railgun, and you're like, oh, yeah, really? This is supposed to be at scale? A pistol is supposed to be, as big as a person? But yeah, some of the images in the middle book are fun aspects to look at, and like the tsunami.
It was the
arms.
90s. We stopped overestimating people's intelligence.
And true. The tsunami arms helix definitely does look like a freaking mean ass weapon.
Oh yeah, I mean, like you said, and the Rheinmetall anti-material rifle. That is one of the meanest, like most devastating looking weapons I've ever seen in science fiction. Like a giant bazooka rifle, shoulder mounted with a. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I think I've only used that weapon once in a game.
Because why would you need to use it more than once?
Well, the party was doing, it was a scenario in which they were hunting a Borg. It was kind of a one shot, and the big cybered-up guy of the group was the guy lugging that piece of hardware around.
Yeah, it made an appearance in our game when I was running the military-inspired game, and they were issued powered armor for a mission, and one of the guys got that equipped to it. He was their long range sniper, and yeah, he put it to great effect against some tanks.
I can imagine. Speaking of which, kind of reminds me. So in Ghost in the Shell, there is Dragoons, or at least the Ghost in the Shell version of Dragoons, which really kind of give me inspiration to update the Dragoons to do some fun stuff that that their version was doing. But yeah,
that's a spoiler that gets my motor running.
Yeah, so it's definitely a great season to watch. Yeah, so that's kind of my top 5 of weapons. Shall we head into cyberware?
We can totally head into cyberware.
So what is your go-to cyberware?
I don't have a necessarily a go-to other than the standard, like everybody. Most of my characters, not all of them, but most of them get, neural processor and a cyberlink. I will say that there are cybernetics that I like. I just love, like the concept of. One of my favorite characters, he had a combination of Corvette cyberlegs and a Dynalar grapple fist.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, he
Spider-Man.
so those two basically Spider-Man with a guy whose kicks could like basically like cut you in half. But yeah, those two both rank highly on my list. I mean, getting to add a +8 to your movement allowance at the higher level Corvette Cyberlegs, that's yeah, you're running as fast as you like a mid-range car. And you can do that down alleys and upstairs and shit. And the grapple fist, 50, you can shoot your arm off like Transor Z and then reel it back in with a 50-meter grapple. You can use that to attack people or to, like, you know, like it says, grapple up items because you can close your fist and open it while it's detached. It was just supremely useful.
Yep. Yeah, with my characters, oftentimes I will get the stuff that kind of makes sense in the day and age. Like quite a few of my my characters can have air filters. It's
Yeah,
almost
that
like
makes sense.
almost like a requirement. The cyber liver is another popular one I like to give my characters, just because, you know, hard life, hard
Gotta be
drinking.
able to survive those Night City drinks.
Exactly. The other piece of cyberware I kind of really like is, just because of the concept, is the decentralized heart.
That's a good one. That kind of shows up in the video game too.
Yeah. Just because, you know, it gives you bonus to death saves, and also deals with some wounds a little bit better. But just that whole concept of, hey, your heart doesn't have to be where your heart is. And all the chambers don't necessarily have to be all in the same location.
I had a fixer who took the opposite approach to the cyber liver, and he had a cyberbar leg installed. Cyberbar leg and a thumb lighter. He was the pimpinest pimp to ever pimp a pimp.
Yeah, the thumb lighter is another go-to for me. Another one that I think the majority of my players will always get when it comes to, well, besides, well, most of them will have like some type of cyber optic. Anti-des.
Yeah, I mean,
Anti-Dazzler is a must, and then the Times Square marquee plus is always a must as well for me.
yeah, I mean, there's cyber that's just you just have to have either through actual cyber like a cyber optic, or through smart shades. You're going to need anti-dazzle. You're going to need a Times Square marquee, and you're going to need some type of night vision, be it low light, thermo, infrared, ultraviolet. You're going to need some type of night vision. Those are just almost requirements if you're running any kind of combat-oriented anything.
Yeah. The other piece of cyber I kind of like and had a few NPCs as well as players use is the Gang Jazzler.
I love the Gang Jazzler. It is unlike the other cyber weapons. It's so inobtrusive. Like it just pops out from underneath your fingernail.
Yep.
And it's devastating. Like I was getting ready to say Gang Jazzler as my preferred cyber weapon, so good choice.
Yeah, and cyber weapons, I like the concept of the cyber snake, but I just never had use of it. It was either Gang Jazzler or Wolvers, and when I say Wolvers, if you got the Pack Rim supplement, you just mono edge the Wolvers, and now you have some pretty heinous weapons.
The cyber snake, I mean, it came from When Gravity Fails, and its limit, its uses are limited. Like if you're not a prostitute, if the character's not a prostitute or something of that nature, where you can get in and like really, really get close to somebody, those weapons are not going to be all that effective. However, there's really nothing saying that it has to be placed. I mean, I guess it does say it has to be placed in an orifice, but I mean, you could put it in your belly button, I guess. That kind of counts. I had a character, a player who had a modified version put into his wrists, and he would whip that thing out, those out, like whenever he made a strike. He would also have the cyber snake shoot out and do its thing. So you can get creative with it. As written, it's very limited in scope. Although there was a memorable moment where one of the femme fatale type assassins like seduced one of the characters, and she had one in her mouth and in her hoo-ha. And
I was about to say there was a little bit of a discussion, I forget which Discord it was, where the person was describing that their party was in a strip joint, and there was a liberal amounts of Mr. Studs and Cyber Snakes.
One is the direct result of the other.
Yeah. The last weapon... Go ahead.
It's popular to think of... never mind, go ahead.
The last piece of cyberware I like, but of course it always... People with anti-dazzlers was not always going to disturb it, but it's great for kind of crowd control, is the strobe light in your hand.
I love the art for that image, or the image for that piece of cyberware. It just looks... It's one of the better like illustrations of a cyber hand in any of the books. And the fact that it's got a big strobe light in the palm just is icing on the cake. I don't know how you would keep that from getting damaged every time you grab something hard, but I've seen goofier things. I think one of my go-tos, and my last little suggestion is the Subdermal Pocket. It's so like not something anybody would ever think to, or not something you would ever really think of. But if you want to smuggle something small past, any kind of security guard who's doing a pat down, you just slide it into your stomach, basically. And I dig that idea. That's where my characters would keep their, if they were wealthy enough to have trauma team cards, that's where they would keep them.
All right, let's move on to just general gear. So what is your must-haves when it comes to gear?
Just regular old gear. My fixers, my corporates, and my high-end solos, we're all very big fans of Tanaka Executive Gear from the Chromebook One. You can't go wrong with a nice, finely tailored suit that can shrug off 9mm. I mean, it's Cyberpunk style above substance. It's how you look is everything. So I was a big fan of that.
Yeah, whereas I like the Gibson battle gear.
Yeah, Gibson's good stuff, but it kind of advertises.
True. But I think the main thing that no matter what I try to get my hands on, and well, in your campaign I've forgotten about it. Is the Sleep Inducer.
Those are good. Yeah.
That's a main staple for a lot of my characters because, hey, sleep is needed, and
Yeah, and it's hard to come by.
if you can get this thing, and now you're no longer tired after 2 hours, which I thought was a great concept. I wonder if they took it from Buck Rogers, that TV series where he would go into bed and be like, "I don't want to sleep. I'm just
Yeah, I would assume it was something like that. I mean, they love their homages. Um, back in the '90s, it's not relevant today, but back in the '90s, I thought the WorldSat flop screen was the coolest thing ever. Just a video display that rolls up into a yeah, it's like a blanket video display. You just throw it on the ground or up against the wall, and you've got a satellite and updated. It's GPS as was envisioned in the '90s. Portable GPS. It's not so cool today unless you add some GM Fiat tweaks, like it's also a video display and does all this other stuff. But it's a widescreen TV that you can take anywhere with you. But back in the day, I loved that shit.
yeah." The other, and again, it's a toss up between either of these two items. One is the Zeta ebook, or I would get the wearable computer.
Again, the '90s and how we saw stuff.
Well, think about it. We didn't en- envision the phone would become a computer, right?
Yeah, the idea that we could have a laptop that was every bit as powerful as any PC, it just wasn't a thing. Hence the ebook. And the wearable computer, like, just it's cool and it looks really, really cool. And I could still see it having uses. It's just not the like in hindsight, it's not the far future advanced tech that we're looking at it as in like 1993.
Yeah. Another go-to item that a lot of my characters will have is the window tumbler.
Oh, that's a good one.
Just because you never know who's listening.
Yeah, I mean, it sets up against the window and just vibrates the window, so like laser mics can't penetrate it. You can't use. That's how laser mics work. Is they pick up the vibrations on the window from people inside talking or making whatever noise, and it disrupts that.
Yeah.
The window tumbler is really cool. Like that's one of those things that most people wouldn't think about, but it makes perfect sense.
And the only time I saw that in action, and I forget which movie it was. I think it was one with Wesley Snipes, that they actually had a laser mic and how they actually listen to the vibrations within the windows and explained it. And that was back in the '90s, so hasn't really been a big thing, unless Big Brother just wanted you to forget.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can get laser mics in the game, and
Yep.
I like that they try to put counters out for anything that you can get. I'm trying to remember what it was actually called. I forget what it was called, but it's basically like a handheld security card copier. The code decryptor, I think that's what it was called.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that always came in handy. anytime we had like a well-equipped group, that was always part of something somebody was carrying.
So, do you go for smart mirror shades or smart goggles? Which is your
Mirror
preferred?
shades.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely smart shades. Goggles are a bit too big and bulky. They have more options typically, but mirror shades look cooler, man.
They do look cooler. I would say the last bit of gear my guy would carry is probably shower in a can.
Shower in a can's good stuff. Spray skin. That's my last bit of carry. Yeah, it's basically aerosol super glue that you use to tie your wounds together. And yeah, I like that stuff. I definitely like that stuff.
Don't want to do a thermal stapler?
Dermal staplers, they're great. They're honestly, I mean, in real life, they're wonderful items that save a lot of lives. But the idea of stapling myself just sounds so painful. I can't list that in my favorite of anything. I've accidentally stapled myself a couple of times, and it's not pleasant.
I think it all depends on where you get stapled.
I would not recommend the knee. I would not.
All right, let's move on to vehicles. I'm sure this is near and dear to your heart because amount of vehicles on your site.
I do love vehicles. I very much love vehicles. It's true. It's true. I love statting vehicles. I love statting any kind of gear, but I have thrown out just tremendous amounts of vehicles. I think my single favorite vehicle in any of the cyberpunk books, it's the Bell Sandpiper. It's a recumbent motorcycle with a canopy cover. It's from Solo of Fortune 2, and I think it's always captured my attention.
Really?
Like the amount of thought and detail that went into it. It's got little wheels on the side that, if you're lean into a turn so far, it keeps you from scratching up your bike. It just looks cool. If you've ever seen the movie, the Korean Blue Skies, Sky Blue, the Korean cyberpunk anime. He drives a bike that looks very, very similar to it.
Well, my top one is also a bike, and it's the Shiva. When I saw it the
Shiva Chromebook 1.
Kundalani, yeah. When that Chromebook 1 came out, and that book, and again, this was around the same time that, what is it? Akira, right? Came out.
Yeah.
To me, it just, I don't know. That was the bike to have for our games.
I mean, yeah. When Chromebook was the only real Gear Source book it was the first of them all, and the Shiva was really, really highly sought after in those early days.
So, what's your next vehicle of choice?
Because I'm a big fan of Nomads, my next vehicle of choice is also a motorcycle, and it's the Delta Motors Bermuda from Chromebook 2. This gigantic chopper-style recumbent. It captured my imagination before any of the Nomad source books came out. Like, I was like, yeah, I could see a grizzled biker touring the country in one of those. Yeah. It didn't have the best performance, but it was better. it evoked like a cyberpunk easy rider kind of feel, as opposed to, like the Thunder God, which just looked like every other Harley I've ever seen in my life.
Right. For me, the next vehicle that I liked was the police interceptor from Chrome 4.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Just because it
I like
has
that
that.
short, squat body it had.
Yeah, and it just looks like an aggressive Dune buggy.
Yeah. It looked like something meant for high maneuverability in city streets. Real tight turns, getting in and out of traffic. It's a very cool little vehicle. It looks like something out of Bubblegum Crisis.
Yep. So what's your next one?
My next one is the Max Interceptor from Chromebook 2. The Highway Patrol vehicle. It looks mean and big and aggressive. It was the first real muscle car we saw from any of the 2020 books. The wheels look a little bit goofy in the image, but the car itself has got a solid design.
Yeah, and granted, this next one is something my characters have never ever acquired, and that would be the Bell Boeing air car from Chrome 4.
That's if I want to say Christian Conkle designed that one.
Just the look of it has a nice little sci-fi with the up and down wings.
Christian Conkle, he designed that.
Really?
He was. That was the first time that somebody designed something on the web that made it into one of the books.
Wow, good for him.
Yeah.
Shame we lost the site though.
Yeah, it's a damn shame. Well, when it comes to aircraft, I mean, I'm always going to be a fan of the AV6 and the AV8s, like just your classic AVs, especially the AV6. I mean, I cannot give that enough love. It's a flying van with bristling with weapons, and it just like that to me is what it's like when somebody mentions supercar. My first thought is always going to be a Lamborghini Countach because I was a child of the 80s.
Yep.
And it defined what a supercar was. For me, the AV8 or the AV6 defines what an AV is. Like that's it. Everything else came from that technology, which really, I mean, everything came from the Harrier technology. But yeah.
Yeah, and it's a versatile platform.
Yeah.
To just build off any weapons.
Looking at that, you can see how that kind of replaces helicopters for a lot of duties.
Yeah. My next vehicle of choice would be the EEC Air Jeep. Just because of the image that they had with it. It looked like, just a fun vehicle to drive in. And I used to own a Jeep Wrangler, and I just know how fun that thing was to drive around. But I don't think you would get much height on that thing.
No, I think it's got a ceiling of like a service ceiling of like 20 feet off the ground or something. It's but you're right. It looks like grand fun. I think when it comes to personal aerodynes, I was a big fan of the BMW McDonnell Douglas AV7. I loved the look of it. It just looked like a personal flying sports car. And if you're running a high level campaign, like that is your dream mobile right there. There were other versions of the AV7, like the the Lambo Fiat Mach, which looked like a flying Mach 5 from Speed Racer, or the Swan, which was like your executive type. But for me, the BMW was just the one. It just looked the coolest. And the fact that it, you know, it came from the main source book just cemented it as, you know, the thing.
Yeah. One thing, the other vehicle I kind of really liked was the Mitsuzuki Bushi.
That's a cool motorcycle.
No, it's a car, man. It's like the only.
Okay, no, that's like a yeah. Okay,
it's the only sports car looking vehicle that they've created, and I'm looking at your site on all the images, and I know not all the images you have on your site are canon, but looking at some of them, it's just like they never really did a lot of sports cars.
No, they really didn't, and it was kind of weird to me that wasn't like anytime they did talk about a sports car, it was all text, which is why there's so many images.
Yeah.
Or it was like a police car. But the Mitsuzuki Bushi was really cool looking. And it didn't. Yeah. It's weird that it took that long to get like a decent image of a sports car.
Yeah.
That you didn't have to join the police or the military to get, or some corporation. The Toyoshev 17 always looked like kind of a sports car to me, in the stylings of it. And I guess we had the BMW 918 from Chrome 1, but that didn't really evoke any sense of longing in me.
Yeah, I mean, compared to like, Chrome 1 and even the basic book, just, the style, I don't know, Chrome 2 kind of like the art is a little too comic in a way, which kind of puts me off on some of those vehicles. Chrome 3.
I mean, Chrome 1 was so hit or miss. Like you'd have the really fantastic art right next to like some ink wash crap that was more like, here's what I think a vehicle might look like, even though I've never seen one before. Like, I don't want to diss any of any artist, period, but like,
and again,
the image of the AV9 in Chromebook 1 is not good. It's just not. I was so happy when they updated that with Max Metal that, yeah.
So, did we forget any gear, weapons? I think we covered all the main topics. I mean, is there any other shout outs you'd like to give?
I liked the armored roadhome, the Drifter RV. I thought that was pretty fun. I liked that they covered that kind of thing as early as Chrome 1, because nomads need a place to sleep too.
Yeah, and I also liked Neotribe and how they had a lot of the different specialty vehicles a family would have.
Yeah. Neotribes is really just I can't show enough love for that book. I didn't mention a lot of the vehicles from it in this because they're also unique. Like they're all like handmade things that I don't really include as like in the same vein as a production vehicle. You know what I mean?
Right. But and each one is going to have a custom role, right? You're going to be an outrider, you're going to be the main hauler. You're going to be protection.
A scout.
Yeah.
Just support, transport, cargo. I mean, yeah, everything has a role in a nomad community.
All right. Yeah, so I think about an hour and a half show. A little quicker than normal, but still a little longer than a lot of podcasts. So,
Yeah.
you got anything else you need to mention, talk about?
I think we covered most of the gear, most of our favorite gear. Yeah, I think one of these days we'll have to do an entire episode where we talk about comics, and then an entire
All the past
or not.
and previous.
I mean, yeah, because I mean there are lots of titles out there that have come and gone that I think deserve a lot of love. I was just looking at an image from Grant Morrison's We 3, which is about these cybernetically enhanced animals. It's basically the incredible journey if the dogs and cats had been equipped with cybernetic, weapons of like not mass destruction, but just weapons of killing shitloads of people. Yeah. That deserves some love. Like I said, Grant Morrison and
I like the art, or at least the We 3.
Yeah, We 3 it's really fantastic. It was Frank Quitely who did the art, and I don't care much for Quitely's people. I know everybody loved his Superman, and they were fans of his X-Men. I never really cared for the way he draws people. Everybody seems elderly to me whenever he draws something. They seem elderly, and they seem like everybody's trying to kiss each other. Like everybody's got these big puckered lips, but everything else he draws is utterly fantastic. Like he's a phenomenal artist. Really, I just don't like the way he draws faces. Everything else is fine.
Looks like they were in the works of doing a film adaptation, but kind of fell through. This is back in
it's
06.
It's like Transmet in that regard. They keep talking about it, and like a new project will start and then get dropped, and then another one will pick up and disappear into the ether. I honestly think it would be kind of a hard sell. It's the incredible journey with ultraviolence. That's what audience are you going to market that to? If you're, at least that would be the executive thinking. I would watch the shit out of that, but that's me. In fact, I think what The Long Journey was missing more than anything else was incredible amounts of ultraviolence.
Yeah, when you're getting into like animals and hey, it's a dog, it's a cat, and is it a rabbit?
It also reminded me of Plague Dogs, which was done by the same author and same animation studio as Watership Down. And it's even more depressing and messed up than Watership Down. So there's a reason nobody's ever heard of Plague Dogs. You can't throw nobody wants to see depressing stories about animals. Like we all pretend we do, but we don't. No.
Just watch it, Old Yeller.
Yeah, I mean, Old Yeller, Turner and Hooch.
The beginning of Bambi.
The beginning of Bambi.
Benji.
What was the more recent one about the golden retriever?
Dog life?
No, something in me. The dog's name in me. I don't remember the name of the dog. Or the one with Richard Gere in Japan about the dog that just waits for him until he dies. That these movies aren't things that anybody wants to watch more than once.
Well, supposedly that's a true story from Japan.
Yeah. It was a true story. It's just not a very uplifting one.
No. There's a Futurama version of it, and Bert.
Yeah, which I can't watch. I can never watch that episode again.
Yeah, my wife's the same
Poor
way.
Seymour. But I think of that damn dog every time I hear "Walking on Sunshine" by Katrina and the Waves. It's yeah. Futurama was the single best adult cartoon ever put out in America. It's just that simple.
On that high note, I think we can probably close out. Before we leave, I want to say thank you to Rob Mulligan and Cybernation Uncensored for hosting us yet again.
Thanks, Rob.
The other thing is go check out the Cybernation Uncensored Discord. Our little experiment in podcasting actually has its own channel, the Forlorn Dopes. So if you want to go there, ask us questions, talk to us, I monitored it. We're more than willing to hear your feedback, good or bad. Bad means, we can improve and start looking into how we can improve. So that's always a good thing. Other than that, I am Cybersmily. You can check me out on my site, which is cybersmily.net. That's Cybersmily without the last E. So it's Cybersmily? Oh, I don't know.
With a Y?
No. Yeah, with a Y and no E. And don't get confused with Cybersmile, which is an anti-cyberbullying organization.
You should team up.
Yes. Yes. Go ahead.
I am Wisdom000 from Datafortress2020.com. You can catch me sometimes on Discord, but more likely on Facebook, either personally or through the Datafortress 2020 group or the Cyberpunk 2020 group. If you have any comments or questions or criticisms, you can leave them there. I also want to thank Rob, and I want to wish everybody a happy Pride Month. Be true to yourself, and you will never fall.
Very true, man. All right. Thanks, everyone. Talk to you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye.